Okay, good morning everyone. 안녕하세요. So I would like to say thank you first for the NextRise organizer for inviting us to participate in this very grand event. For today's session, I will be delivering my insights on the early stage venture investment in Indonesia. So I will be restructuring the presentation into three main areas. I will first look into Indonesia's digital market, explaining the trends and opportunities that shape the digital landscape. Then I will be giving you an insight into our early stage investment landscape. Then lastly, I will share the model of ANGIN, my company, and how we are bringing the contribution to the investment landscape in Indonesia. Before we move on, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Gema Minang. I got my bachelor degree in international business from the University of Leeds, and I am currently holding the title as Tech Investment Lead in ANGIN, where I am in charge of deal sourcing, deal analyzing, and deal showcasing of tech-enabled startups in Indonesia. So now, before we start, I would like to give you a quick geography test. Anyone here can pinpoint where Indonesia is at on the map? Number what? 31, yes. So for those who don't know yet, we are here in number 31, the really interesting looking island. So why Indonesia and why now? Firstly, in terms of the global landscape, the current global investment value have reached significantly over the past 5 years. And now in terms of value, the Southeast Asia, the digital economy have reached 72 billion in 2018 and is on track to exceed around 200 billion in the next 5 years. And we have also been seen a huge increase in number of internet users in the region. There are currently around 35 million internet users in Southeast Asia. And moreover, the Southeast Asia internet users are the most engaged in the world. You can see here the internet users in the region can typically spend 2 times the time spent in other users in developed countries like the US and the UK. So, when we look at Indonesia closely, you can see that Indonesia has accelerated beyond its compound annual growth rate, and it has reached inflection point throughout 2015-2018, surpassing the other neighboring countries in Southeast Asia region. So now it is expected that we will contribute up to $80 billion to the total economy in the Southeast Asia region. And now, why is the market very attractive? Let's explore some of the statistics that we have here in Indonesia. So first of all, when we look at the population size, we are currently the 4th largest country in terms of population. There are around 264 million individuals living in the country, and around 65% of them actually belong in the working age population, which means that Indonesia has a very young demographic that implies a potentially huge pool of employees. And then the internet penetration have also reached 40% of our population. There are currently around 105 million internet users. Then smartphone users, there are also around 92 million. And we are now the 3rd largest smartphone market in Asia Pacific after China and India. And also we have around 96 million bankable population. And we are the fastest growing region in Asia Pacific when it comes to the digitization of financial service. And lastly, we have around 58 small-medium enterprises, in which only 20% of them have been accommodated by our e-commerce players. So now, due to all of these risk factors, we are home to 4 unicorns, which are Gojek, Traveloka, Tokopedia, and Bukalapak. And I will be sharing a story about our highest valued companies at the moment, which is called Gojek. So it is actually originated as a ride-hailing app, started in around 2011. But now it has accommodated a number of different services. As you can see here, they have F&B delivery, they have logistics, beauty and cleaning services, and they have been raising around 3.1 billion US dollars in the span of 6 to 7 years. So the emergence of, So the emergence of Gojek, due to its really huge, significant impact, have created a number of socio-economic impacts that you can see here. So throughout its operation, Gojek has So throughout its operation, Gojek has created around 1 million jobs in Indonesia. So they are currently the largest non-governmental employment creator in the country. Then they have also contributed around 700 million annually to the economy. And lastly, they have created an above average income for these drivers. So Gojek Sari has captivated lots of startups in the country. They have paved the way for the emergence of the other 3 unicorns in the country. As you can see here, we have firstly Tokopedia, which is an online marketplace. Then we have Traveloka, an online travel aggregator. And lastly, we also have another marketplace called Bukalapak, with a particular focus on small to medium-sized enterprises. And they have also been supported by wide-known investors like SoftBank Ventures, Sequoia Capital, and also 500 startups. So when we look at the investment verticals in the country, opportunities are mostly concentrated in fintech and also in e-commerce, but key statistics have indicated numerous challenges that can be solved by technology. For example, in the health sector, our health spending is still accounts only to less than 3% of our GDP, which is still below the ASEAN standard. Then we have also seen a rising number of health tech startups who are trying to innovate by creating a venture that can connect patients with doctors, labs, and other things under one application. And then we can also see in agricultural sector, there are plenty of opportunity because our productivity rate is still below the global standard. So we have startups like TaniHub who are looking to incentivize startups to increase their productivity. And then on top of these 2 other sectors, there are also other verticals with untapped opportunity like education, logistics, and also media. So now, based on recent research conducted by Google and the other researcher, we can see that investors are generally having a positive outlook towards the Indonesian market. And why is that so? This is firstly driven because we are still under tracking in VC investment. We have lower total investment value compared to the standard of Southeast Asian countries, which indicate higher room for growth, especially if they can be given the right incentive to promote the economy. And then investors are also very confident in our strong macroeconomic outlook and also favorable demographic. So it is expected that in the next 5 years, the Indonesian economy will be growing by 1.5 times, which will double the number of upper middle income group in the next 5 years. And then the attractive demographic composition, as I have shown earlier, will also be growing enormously. And we are expected that in the next 5 years, we will be having around 140 million potentially bankable and smartphone-savvy population. However, with growth also come challenges in the country. There are numerous hurdles that will hinder the development of the early stage investment in Indonesia. So first of all, we have problem with taxations and regulations, and then we have been lacking the right source of funds and supportive regulations to encourage investment flow into the country. Then there is also underdeveloped critical infrastructure that can hinder the development of digital economy. And lastly, we have inadequate pool of talent and lack of understanding in the overall concept of digital economy. However, the government has been trying to incentivize the public sector and also been trying to come up with solution. So we have what we call e-commerce roadmap, which is introduced as a high-level guidance to overcome these obstacles. So this e-commerce roadmap comprises of alignment of regulations, which include introducing a hassle-free and comprehensive solutions. Then we have also been creating a structured registration mechanism to reduce the barriers for taxation and also funding mechanism. And then we have also been developing complex infrastructure to support the internet connectivity in the nation. And lastly, we have been also trying to support our talents to increase our education effort to create the best type of tech talent in the country. So now I'll be sharing you my insights on the investment landscape of Indonesia. Currently, we have been seeing the rise of investment that goes into the startup ventures. And so it has been multiplied by around 68 folds in the last 5 years. And we have also been seeing an increasing in confidence in terms of venture capital investment in the country. So right now, I think in combination of attractive market fundamentals and also demographics have made Indonesia particularly attractive for digital transaction investment. So as you can see from here, Indonesia's investment landscape is still very young, but it is growing very rapidly throughout the years. So from here you can see the early stage deals, which is seed and Series A, accounts for more than 80% of the total investment made in the region. And when we look at the specific verticals that we have, we can divide the indicators into two categories, which is by number of fundraising deals and also by value of average deal size recorded. So from here you can see that e-commerce and fintech have captured the most deals at 9 each in 2018. And they were followed by education, enterprise solutions, and health tech. But I think what is the most interesting takeaway from this data is that despite e-commerce being the most popular vertical for investors, the highest valued industry is actually logistics. As you can see there, they have been raising around 2.7 billion in terms of value. So what this is show is that investors have been trying to diversify themselves from e-commerce because expected market consolidation and then because the long lead time to profitability that is commonly associated by the vertical. So instead, logistics, fintech, and health tech are being seen as the rising verticals in the country. And on top of this, I would like also to highlight that another trend that I don't have it here with me on the slide. So whereas like countries like Singapore have been trying to place greater interest on deep technology, Indonesia is still focusing on consumer-facing service. So as you can see, health tech industry, which is very service-intensive, can secure 3 deals. But verticals like hardware, IoT, or even big data, which is very heavy on technology implementation, can only secure 1 deal in 2018. And here you can see the range of investor profiles that you would like to encounter in the Indonesian market, which I believe will be similar with what you have here or in other markets. So I wouldn't go deeper into detailing each one of them, but instead I will be focusing on venture capitalists. So for venture capitals, they can largely fall into 2 broad categories in Indonesia, which are local investor and also foreign investor. So for local venture capital, they have been contributing up to 54% of the total capital raised, but the value only reached 28%. But their main strong proposition is that they have clear advantage. Their main value proposition is that they have clear advantage of market knowledge, so they have the right know-hows in how to navigate the local market, and they have primarily participated in smaller early stage deals. So if you're in early stage companies, this will be the investors that they will be more likely to accommodate your deal. Whereas we also have foreign investor. So for foreign venture capital, they have been contributing up to 46%, but the value is significantly higher than local investors. So what they are bringing to the table is that they have access to global expertise and also global talents. And they typically originate from more developed markets like the US or Japan. And these investors primarily participate in larger later stage rounds, but it doesn't limit their involvement in early stage round. So what we have seen in Indonesia is that these foreign investors have also been participating in earlier stage deals. So in 2018, we can see that there are around 103 investors who participated in this closed funding round. So East Ventures and Alpha GWC led the round with 10 and 5 funding announcement respectively. So they're actually the leading foreign and local venture capital in the country. So now when we look at the investment by round, you can see that the early stage deals account for the highest number of contribution to the total investment made. However, as you can see from the comparative charts, the number of investment that went into seed funding and Series A funding have decreased over the years. This is because investors are more confident, they are more selective in earlier stage, and so there are more opportunities for later stage round in Series B and also in Series C. So based on this trend, you can see that I think in the early stage investment landscape, there is a gap that has to be addressed by other type of investors. So this is where we come in. So ANGIN is the largest angel investment network in Indonesia, where we are committed to bring the best practices in early stage investment by connecting prospective startups with our group of highly networked individuals. So right now, here are some metrics that we can show you throughout our operation. We have currently around 80 plus angel investors, who comprises of individuals and also institutional clients. Then we have been screening around 3,000 startup ventures over the years, and we have also made 33 investment and 3 exits. So our model right now is we act as a bridge to support investors and entrepreneurs through implementing key services along their investment journey. So as you can see, when you are an investor or you are an entrepreneur, you will be facing some challenges when you are looking to fundraise. So what we do in ANGIN is we provide key services to both actors. For example, we have weekly created deal flows for investors, investment execution, and also education. Whereas for entrepreneurs, we can help you in gaining access to the right investor, then due diligence assistance, and also access to relevant networks. So in ANGIN, we are focusing on pre-seed stage up to Series A stage, and our typical ticket size can go as low as $50,000 to up to $250. And we are actually sector agnostic, so we don't really have a specific focus on a sector or a company type. But instead of that, we can accommodate investment of both offline and online businesses, regardless of their type of contribution. So you can be commercial or you can be impact driven as well. Okay, so in ANGIN, I think what we are trying to do is we are hoping to catalyze the growth of early stage startups by fostering the connections between vetted investor and also prospective startups. And throughout that, I think I would like to summarize some key takeaways from our presentation today. So firstly is that based on our recent data that I have shown you before, Indonesia is a very attractive market because of the strong economic fundamentals, the rapidly growing demographic, and also the increasingly investment volume that have gone into the country. And this also signals positive market outlook in the next following years. Moreover, if you look at the early stage investment landscape, we can see that they are pretty large in volume, but you can see that the number for early stage deals have decreased along the way because investors are getting more selective for earlier rounds. And lastly, in ANGIN, we are trying to bring contribution to the early stage landscape by bridging the gap in early stage landscape, as we hope to accelerate the growth of the early stage startups, and we're hoping to see the emergence of new unicorns in the country. I think that's all from me actually. And if you can also put some Q&As on Slido. Can we show the slide?
Okay, thank you very much for your great presentation. First of all, so I think we have one question from the floor during your presentation. So please share with Slido. 자, 그러면 슬라이드 보면서 여러분의 질문을 먼저 함께 확인을 하겠습니다. 발표 진행되는 동안 여러분께서 궁금해하시는 질문을 저희가 받아봤는데요. 슬라이도.com 홈페이지를 통해서 저희가 질문을 받았습니다. 어떤 질문이 올라와 있는지 궁금합니다. I'm also very curious of the questions from the floor during your presentation. So yes, this is Korean. So I'd
Can you translate that?
interpret. Yes. First of all, what's your impression about the NextRise 2019?
Okay.
So I think it must be from the organizer, maybe.
Okay, I think my impression for this year NextRise event is that I think it's very grand in terms of scale, and I think it's also very promising. I can see lots of startups in Korea, and I think it's a really good opportunity for me to be connected with other startups as well, and with other networks outside my home country. So it's a really valuable opportunity for me. Thank you so much for having me here.
Also, thank you very much for being here with us. And also, you just mentioned that you're close to the main color of this NextRise, right?
I didn't plan that, but turned out this way, so yeah.
Thank you. And I heard that this is the only the question from the floor, so because your presentation is perfect, I think. But I have a question. You, as you mentioned earlier, the Indonesian investment is quite young now.
Yeah.
So is there any plan to work in cooperation with the Korean venture companies or startup?
Okay, I think to answer that, I think there are actually plenty of opportunity to be able to collaborate with investors or other startups in South Korea, because actually what we have currently in Indonesia is there are lots of foreign funds that goes directly into the country, and they are mostly originated from Japan and China, but we haven't seen anything from Korea. So you are more than welcome to actually try to have a collaboration or set up your own venture capital fund, for example, in Indonesia, because we have plenty opportunities in earlier stage deals, for sure.
Ah, I should interpret what you're saying now.
Yeah.
일단 먼저 이 넥스트라이즈 2019에 대한 행사에 대한 소감을 좀 여쭤봤는데 굉장히 크고 흥미로운 것들이 많아서 함께 할 수 있게 돼서 기쁘다는 말씀을 전해주셨고요. 좀 전에 여러분 프레젠테이션 들으셨습니다만 그 인도네시아의 투자 관련 사업은 사실 아직 그렇게 이제 성장 단계, 아직 초기 단계다라고 말씀을 해주셨어요. 그래서 제가 그 얘기를 듣고 그렇다면 이제 시작하고 있으니까 한국 기업과 손을 잡고 뭔가를 할 계획이 있느냐라고 여쭤봤더니 지금까지는 중국이나 일본하고는 일을 많이 해왔는데 한 번도 한국 기업하고는 일을 해본 적이 없다고 하십니다. 그래서 만약에 투자 기회가 생긴다면 한국하고도 함께 손을 잡고 일을 하고 싶다고 하니까요. 이곳에 계신 벤처 창업인 여러분들 그리고 스타트업 기업인 여러분들께서 여러 가지 또 조금 전에 어떤 것들이 필요한지 말씀해 주셨으니까 어필을 하신다면 좋은 기회가 생기지 않을까라는 생각이 듭니다. I really hope that our venture companies and startup will take a great opportunity to cooperate with the Indonesian investment at this stage.
Yes.
Yes. And also, is there anything you are interested in the technology here in Korea? Because this country is quite a leading nation to have the high quality of technologies.
So Indonesia is actually a very interesting case in terms of technology, because even though it's a very large market, but we don't particularly invest that much in technology-oriented firms. This is because out of the 250 million population in the country, most of them are still in the lower to middle class. So what works best if we're going to offer a solution in Indonesia is something that can be really beneficial for this population. So I think it will be something that is more heavy on surface. But if you're thinking about technology, maybe something to do with something that can accelerate the process of a service. For example, medical checkups, or as simple as queuing technology. And then other than that, I think for fintech, the important vertical will be microfinancing. If someone is interested in that, microfinancing have a really great opportunity in the Indonesian market because of our large unbankable population.
이제 한국은 아무래도 여러 가지 기술을 또 리드하는 국가이기 때문에 이 한국의 여러 가지 기술에 흥미로운 점은 없느냐라고 여쭤봤는데 어쨌든 인도네시아에 계신 분들의 수준의 경우에는 이제 사실 그렇게 많은 사람들이 우리가 혼자서 사용할 수 있는 기술들을 그렇게 다 사용하지는 않고 있다고 말씀을 해주셨고요. 그래서 지금 최근에는 뭐 마이크로 파이낸싱이라든가 피테크 부분에 있어서 좀 관심을 갖고 있다라는 말씀을 해주셨습니다. And also during our dialogue, we have one more questions here, so you can read it maybe. To invest in Korea, we did the answer. I mean.
Okay, so for the second questions. So in ANGIN, we actually focus on local startups. We don't invest in foreign startups, but we can accommodate your investment if you are going to enter the Indonesian market. So as long as you will be operating in Indonesia, we can invest in your startup. And then any specific sectors?
That's the answer for the third question as well.
Yeah.
예, 지금 방금 말씀해 주셨습니다만 여러분께서 인도네시아로 진출을 할 계획이 있으시다면 충분히 돕겠다라는 말씀도 해주셨습니다. So we would like to look at the next question about some Indonesian government support for entrepreneurship, especially in deep tech area.
So in terms of the tech area, I think the Indonesian government involvement is still very minor. Instead, I think contribution will be mostly come from universities, top universities, and also accelerators and incubators. So we have also plenty of accelerators who are originated from Silicon Valley, like GNB. Then we have also Plug and Play. So they have very good R&D support, I think, in the country. But yeah, in terms of deep tech, I think it's still far below what you guys have here in Korea.
지금 이제 그 다음 질문이 인도네시아 정부에서도 그 기술 관련해서 좀 지원이 많느냐라는 질문이었는데요. 인도네시아의 경우에는 정부보다는 대학이라든가 그리고 엑셀러레이터를 통해서 좀 투자를 많이 받는 편이라고 하고요. 실리콘밸리 쪽에 계시는 또 엑셀러레이터들이 관심을 갖고 투자를 좀 많이 받는 편이라고 하네요. So moving on to the next question. So you can pick up the question.
Okay, I'll go with the second one. So why are the number of startups after Series B stage small? Do many startups with seed and Series A investment need further investment? I think this is a misconception in the investment round. So what I see is that fundraising is not something that is necessary. If you don't need to fundraise, then you don't need to do it. As long as the business will still be able to scale up, you don't really need to fundraise. That's why we see lots of Series B startups who just stop fundraising for a moment before they go into another round of fundraising. But in terms of number of startups who is actually goes beyond Series B, I think it's still not very, but still quite small as well in Indonesia. But we currently have lots of investors to choose for, so there are lots of opportunities for them to fundraise. Yeah.
네, 굉장히 많은 그 경우들이 많다고 말씀을 해주셨고요. 물론 이제 파이낸싱 부분이 굉장히 중요하긴 합니다만 제가 지금 전문가가 아니어서 사실 시리즈 A, B가 어떤 의미인지는 사실 그렇게 제가 지금 정확하게 구체적으로 지금 어떤 의미인지 잘 모르겠는데 어찌됐든 그 파이낸싱 부분이 굉장히 중요하지만 스타트업 기업의 경우에는 금융적인 문제보다는 이제 도와주실 분들이 좀 많이 있으니까 일단 시작을 하면서 그 다음 단계로 넘어가는 데 있어서 투자자들이 좀 도움을 많이 주는 것 같은 느낌이 듭니다. So, please move on. We have 17 minutes left.
I will answer the other questions. Oh, it's gone. Okay, I will answer the third question first. So, Singapore VC and what do you see from China versus the US in terms of attention? So, what I see is the USA is actually the first comer in the market. So, we have been seeing lots of venture capitals who have participated in Indonesian startups, such as we have Phoenix Capital, we have Golden Gate as well, and a number of other VCs. But what we see right now is that the Chinese firms have been more aggressive, and they invest in a very particular sector. So now what I'm seeing is that they are mostly focusing on only logistics and e-commerce enabler. Because usually some of the partners come from like Alibaba background, so they are looking for that synergies for other e-commerce players that they have in China.
So what do you mean they are a little bit aggressive from the Indonesia or China?
They are now more aggressive, but the USA is the first comer to the market. Yeah.
Okay. 네, 그 중국보다는 이제 미국 쪽에서 좀 많이 들어오는 것 같아요. 지금 중국과 그리고 미국의 어느 쪽에 이제 좀 더 그 포커싱 하고 있느냐라고 질문을 했는데 미국에서 처음에 좀 더 많이 들어왔고 특히나 이제 알리바바라든가 여러 가지 VC들이 미국에서 좀 많이 들어와 있기 때문에 중국보다는 미국과 협력을 해서 좀 일을 많이 하고 있는 것 같습니다. So maybe last one. What do you think? Which way is the
Best
best
exit strategy. Oh, this is very tricky. I think there is no right way to do it. It highly depends on the type of company that you have, be it in terms of your legal structure and also the market that you've been serving. But what we have seen in Indonesia is, I think the exit strategy, they are mostly in the form of acquisition. Mostly, we have been seeing, for example, an example I can give you is the unicorns that acquired other smaller startups as part of their exit strategy for the smaller ones. So I think it's not the best way, but it is the most common way in Indonesia.
네, 어쨌든 뭐 여러 가지 그 합법적인 스트럭처를 구조를 만든다든가 여러 가지들이 있겠습니다만, 작은 기업들이 이제 유니콘 기업으로 성장해 나가는 데 있어서 많이 키우는 것이 가장 중요하다라고 지금 인도네시아에서는 생각을 하고 있다고 합니다. So I think this is the last question, right? 이게 마지막이죠? 네, 네. So do you think you are we missed one?
Is there
저
any
아래쪽으로 조금만 내려주실 수 있으세요?
follow-up.
What's this? What do you think make Indonesia stand apart from the sea countries?
Okay. Okay, I think I will answer both question 2 and also question 3. So what stands us apart from other Southeast Asian countries will be most significantly is in terms of size, so in terms of population, but also the investment readiness of the startups in our country, because we currently have around 800 to 1,000 startups who are actively operating. And also the government have been facilitating the country with lots of accelerator programs, and also we have our own government-backed NextRise process, which is it's not a foundation, but it's a program to promote the next unicorns of Indonesia, which is a very good initiative. And then when we talk about the question 2, why it has a big population but the per capita is quite low in Asian country, I think we still have a big potential because you have to tap the right market. So when you know that the per capita is quite low in Asian country, you need to offer a solution that is more geared towards price-sensitive customers. So don't go with a really deep technology and expect that people will buy you, because it's true that our buying power is still really low compared to other Southeast Asia economies. So focus on verticals that is actually very easy to tap into and doesn't need a very complex solution. But you have to really know that Indonesia is a very diverse country. So you need extra effort to onboard the right customers. Because we have different customs, different traditions, and you need to be really aware of that. So my main advice for those who want to enter the Indonesian market is that you have to get a local partner, for sure. You have to get a local partner, because otherwise, our bureaucratic process is still very complex as well. So you need a local head that can move you around to drive your business to be a really good one in the country.
일단 첫 번째는 어쨌든 그 인도네시아가 다른 것과 좀 다른 구분되는 것들을 좀 말씀을 해주셨는데요. 일단 성장 가능성이 있다고 좀 전에 이제 말씀드렸죠. 투자 부분에 있어서는 이제 스타트하고 있으니까요. 성장 가능성도 있고 인구도 많이 있고, 그리고 정부에서도 여러 가지 다양한 프로그램을 지금 계속해서 제공을 하고 있다고 하는데, 특히나 그 넥스트 유니콘이라고 해서 이제 좀 전에 말씀드린 대로 유니콘 기업으로 성장시키는 그런 프로그램들에 굉장히 관심을 많이 갖고 지원을 하고 있다고 합니다. 이런 부분들이 이제 다른 국가와 인도네시아의 차이점이라고 볼 수 있겠다고 말씀을 해주셨고요. 그리고 그 다음에 말씀해주신 것들이 이제 인도네시아에 오셔서 뭔가를 하실 경우에는 큰 기술에 너무 치중하지 마시고 사람에 대한 서비스, 고객이라든가 사람에 대한 서비스에 좀 치중을 하신다면, 특히나 인도네시아의 문화라든가 인도네시아에 대해서 좀 알고 들어오신다면 훨씬 더 도움이 되지 않을까라는 말씀을 좀 해주셨습니다. 우리 벤처 창업 기업인들에게, 그리고 스타트업 기업인들에게 도움이 되지 않을까라는 생각이 듭니다. So thank you very much for being with us today and also giving us your great presentation.
Thank you. And I would also like to encourage you, for anyone who wants to expand to Indonesia, you can visit our website at www.angin.id. Yeah, so we can accommodate early stage investment with typical ticket size around 50 US dollar to 250K US dollars. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.